everyone, Ashley Mailloux here with the Daily Racing Forum. Saturday at Santa Anita, one of their feature races, maybe their second feature race, is race number 11, the Grade 2 Santa Anita Oaks, that puts those 3-year-old fillies in the spotlight at 1.16 miles on the main track. And we'll take a look at the field very similarly to the Santa Anita Derby. They get 9 horses entered in this spot, and looking at these fillies, a lot of eyes will be here on the number 5, Fiza, who's just been very impressive, 4 for 4 in her career. Now, the number 6, Window Shopping, draws directly to her outside, and she was visually impressive, winning by 16.5 lengths in her most recent performance. Princess Bettina is going to get back onto the dirt for the first time in a while. I mean, there's a lot of things to kind of analyze here, so let's not waste any time. I'll jump in here with the number 1, who's trained by Richard Mandela, and this is a 3-year-old daughter of Curlin, who was pretty impressive in her first start of her career, and her only start. She was able to get to the front and draw clear by over 4 lengths. Now, the big thing with that, it was a race that was originally carted for the grass. It was moved to the main track, and it was just a 2-horse race. So she only had one other rival. It was only going 6 furlongs. Now, I will say she's been working very well, but she's going to have to tackle a deeper field in terms of competition and in terms of number of horses, while also stretching out in distance. Now, Mike Smith will climb aboard, and she does have some really fast gate speed. So she could be a big part of this pace scenario earlier on, but it's hard to say whether or not she's going to get that 2-turn distance in just her second career start. The number 2, Gila, this one is an interesting horse as well, who had tried maiden special weight events early on in her career, mainly at those 1-turn distances, anywhere from 4.5 to 6.5 furlongs. They tried her on basically any surface as well, and she wasn't able to put it together. But more recently, she was in for the $30,000 tag, and she was a runaway winner. She won by over 12 lengths, went to the front, and kind of said goodbye, and that was it. To go from a maiden $30,000 claimer, obviously, to a Grade 2 is a really tall task. She's going to be a huge price in here on Saturday. The number 3, Clearly Unhinged. This one trained by Michael McCarthy. Similar story to the horse on the inside. She was a winner on debut. She just has that one start under her belt, and she was very professional. She was able to get to the lead and draw clear in there. That was going 6.5 back in February, and we'll actually show this replay because another horse exits this race as well. And just to kind of see her in the stretch here, it's not also easy when you have post position 1 on debut, but she had that gate speed. She was able to, after breaking kind of a little erratically, as well as her other horse in here that she'll face once again, the number 2, Clickish, she was able to kind of show some professionalism, which I think is huge after overcoming that break. And she's much the best in this field, got an 89 buyer speed figure, another one that's working very well for her next start. Number 4, Clickish, I mentioned, ends up finishing 4th in that race. She was the number 2 in that replay that we just showed. And then she was able to go in that kind of restricted race that made an optional claiming. She was not in for the tag. She was a 9-length winner, a runaway winner, and she broke kind of towards the back of the pack and was able to circle that field. I'm not sure what she really faced on March 5th, another one that's going to really have to step it up. But I do like, in terms of her work tab, she's got some 6 furlong works under her belt. It's really tough with some of these maiden races, whether they are maiden optional claimers or they're short fields or whatever the circumstances, to really gauge how they're going to do against this level when other horses, and we'll get to one of them in a second, have been facing more seasoned rivals so far. And that horse that I'm alluding to is the number 5, Fiza, who's 4 for 4 in her career so far. Really nice daughter of Gervin, who Gervin stands for 25. She was purchased for $725,000. And just to see the way she's won her races, she's been kind of forwardly placed, either pressing the pace or sitting a little further off of it. And she has just been able to get the job done time and time again. We'll look at her most recent race on March 5th against Grade 3 competition. She's the number 6 in here. And you can see when she kind of gets going in here, and the performance that she ends up getting, I think she looks great in this race. Now, the other horse in here to point out, the number 2, Tell Me No Lies, ends up being second best. But the way Fiza's just kind of carried herself start and start again is very impressive. And she certainly has that resume where others have not faced winners yet. Now, to her outside, the number 6, Window Shopping. She's going to make the 3rd start of her career. And on debut, they tried her on the turf at Del Mar. It didn't work. I wouldn't say it was a bad performance. She split that field of 11 in there, and she took some respect. The winner, Broadway Girls, came back to win next out. So all positives, but they gave her time off. She came back on March 17th, and we'll take a look at this race. Now, she faced 6 other rivals in this race. She's on the lead here. Yes, she was 3 to 5, but just to watch her draw off in here, to me, I don't really care the level as long as there's a considerable amount of horses behind you. She ends up winning this race by 16.5. So we don't know what she's really technically faced, but the way that she's able to do this and draw clear, obviously impressive. Hector Barrios is going to climb aboard her for the first time, and he's only had a limited number of mounts for the Richard Mandela barn, but I find her to be very interesting in this spot, a bit of an unknown, but I really liked what we saw on March 17th. The number 7, Princess Bettina, this one out of the Peter Urton barn. She's one that's kind of been knocking on the door in several starts. She was able to pick up her second career win last time out in the China Doll. We'll take a look at this replay. Call me crazy. I know it's a turf race, but I just want to show this. This race was important for Princess Bettina for a couple of reasons. Not only was it stake, but she was able to get to the front, which is something that we had never seen from her before. She was very aggressive with Frankie Dettori, went to the front, kicked clear, and was much the best. And you can see she's pretty determined just by her stride, the way she's striding out. Her ears are pinned back. It was a big effort to see her finally get back to the winner's circle. Now, I do think it's intriguing after that they're going to go back on the dirt. She hasn't been on the dirt since September of 2022 at Del Mar, and that resulted in a 10th place finish. Now, prior to that, she was third, beaten by 6 lengths. So just an interesting thing to note. They're going to take a try here with Princess Bettina on the main track. The number 8, and Tell Me No Lies. We saw that replay of when she was second behind Fiza back on March 5th. It was her first start since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. I think she's eligible to certainly improve, second off the layoff. And in terms of trip, they've tried different things with her in the past. I would think that maybe in this field, she's able to get a good position, maybe just a couple of lengths off the pace setter in here. And she loves Santa Anita. You look at her other races, I just think she's got slightly better numbers at Santa Anita. And excited to see what she can do in her second start off that bit of a freshening. And finally, the number 9, Don't Get Pickled, is a horse that most recently raced in the Sunland Park Oaks. Finished third in that field of 7, was a huge price of 37-1. It was her first time racing without LASIK, so we're able to see that she was able to do that. She's going to have to do that again on Saturday. And you look down the page, her success has come at Turf Paradise on the turf. So she doesn't have a dirt win on her resume, but she does have 3 minor placings. I still think to kind of compete with some of the other bigger name fillies in here, she would need to improve off her most recent efforts just based on the numbers and kind of the competition that she's faced. So that is the field of 9. Ultimately, I went to the number 5, Fiza, who's going to try to keep that record untarnished, going to try to go 5 for 5 on Saturday. I just think in terms of trip, she's going to get a good trip. We've seen her, what she's able to do in terms of sit just off the pace, sit a little further back, and is, able to race at this mile and a 16th distance. She's proven that, where a couple of these other horses are going to have to stretch out considerably for their first time while facing winners. Now, number 6, Window Shopping. I kind of gave it away. I'm a little intrigued by this horse. We just don't know what we saw other than she was able to decimate her competition in that maiden special weight event going a mile. I do realize that race was carted for a different surface and then goes to the main track, but I still think she's really impressive. She did get a 75 buyer speed figure for that effort. And then from there, I was torn between the number 3, Clearly Unhinged, and the 8, and Tell Me No Lies. And I gave the 8 a slight nod in here just based on her most recent performance. I thought she kind of held her own in that grade 3 event, and I think she's eligible to improve just in her second start of 2023. So that's how I see Saturday's Santa Anita Oaks.